Since we're on the topic of contemporary music, I was wondering, how is your approach to when you, because there's a lot of music written for the both of you, what's your approach to first seeing the score and eventually also working with the composer? I was wondering if you have, if you could tell a little bit about that.
It depends. I am normally always too short before the concert, so my first reaction is a shock. And then I start to get used that I will be on stage, I will be playing all these millions of notes, and I'm responsible for the birth of this baby, and so I get very nervous in the beginning. Then I try to calm down, and I start to live with this music. Even if I don't have time to practice, the music is with me. Sometimes, when I was younger than now, it doesn't help, but it helps to me. I had the music under my pillow. So in the morning, I waked up and I looked again to that, and so somehow I thought, okay, this is now my piece. And then I started to play. I wanted, if it's a piece for violin and ensemble or anybody, it can be chamber music or with orchestra. I want to know everything about this piece first. So I have to sit with this score, put my notes, what I think about it first in my head. There must be a novel, a world that I can grow together with this piece. It sounds complicated, but it's like some days of process. And then I start to practice. And then the next shock is coming. So it's always much too difficult. Composers, learn to write easy, please. You will have much more success. Good music, complex music, but easy for the instrument. Learn to play the instrument before you write for this instrument. Please. And I don't speak about the discovering of new techniques. We're very happy to discover new techniques, but it has to be, like human friendly. Because otherwise, I have to kill myself every time to get the idea and then to transpose it into facilities of logic, of gravitation, and sometimes it's really almost impossible. Tempi are almost but it was always like this. Also Beethoven wrote this impossible music. Maybe it's necessary, I don't know. But there is always a fight against the nature and inventing a new machine, new mechanics, and going above the borders. Because when you stay in this box, you will never develop. But still help us to make it possible, yeah. I think it's also very important for composers to write for children. There is no contemporary music for children. So they grow with normal music. They don't get the contact with the language of today. I think it's the first step we need to do, to bring children into contemporary music. But it's very interesting how you process with contemporary music. Sol is not so fast as I am with learning, but when she gets it into her hands, into your hands, it becomes really her piece. I admire very much. All the soul of her is there. And many people who learn fast, they still stay with paper and notes. They just play it, it's right, but it doesn't touch. And when you play my music, for example, I am completely happy, over the moon, yeah. So there are different possibilities.
I think it's fascinating also to have the opportunity to work with the composer, because many times when, I don't know, you receive a piece, well, you need to discover yourself, is somehow possible or not possible, but you have not a direct discussion with the person. And well, in my case, with some of the composers, actually all of them, even with you, to have the opportunity to not only change the things. I think sometimes I also like composers that says, no, I don't want to change anything. This is my vision. Okay, but then if it's your vision, how is it possible to do? I had this discussion, for example, with Wolfgang Riem. When he wrote the cello concerto, he wrote many things very high and quite difficult, but he was explaining me exactly on the phone. You put the finger on the C string and you put this one on the G note, and it works. Everything what was absolutely impossible to imagine before, it works. That means he knew very well the instrument.
Yeah.
And this is fascinating for a player, because then also the respect of this construction, it becomes even higher, because this person knows better than you your instrument, you know.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
It's the same with me, also the experience with Heinz Holliger. He wrote the violin concerto. Do you know his violin concerto? This is one of most
I haven't heard.
one of most interesting pieces I ever played in my life, and one of most difficult as well. Until I learned this, I made a copy. Also, this is very important. Composers, please, make a music that we can turn the page. This is so important. I spent all my life in cutting music.
She's one of the best, by the way.
I cut, I copy, I put it together. It's impossible. I never got a music which I can turn the page. I have enough time to turn my page. Of course, you all play with iPads. We're old-fashioned. I like paper. It's a catastrophe. I lose a lot of time. Okay, but so I made a copy because it was too small. In the end, it became this kind of. And this concerto is about a painter, a completely crazy, genius painter, a Swiss painter. And it's also the score became a painting, kind of. So I tried to understand it. This also with scordatura and all these difficulties. And some of the places I did not get. I didn't understand how he means it. And I didn't ask him because I knew that he knows what he writes. And I tried and tried millions of times until I understood. And I learned my instrument in a new way. But it's important that the composer knows that it really works and it sounds in the end. Yeah.
I think this is a good point. The instruments in general, they should sound, for example, if you write for cello, they should sound like a cello also at some point. Because sometimes, I mean, I agree that it's interesting to discover new techniques, but even in really great new concertos where they discover new techniques, the instrument is still sounding. So when you don't have any more the impression you have even played a cello in that concerto, something is out of tune, something is wrong, because I think this is what is not really touching then the people, you know. I think construction is one thing, but that your instrument has the ability to present all the ranges, sonor ranges that the instrument could present. I speak for the cello because we have so many octaves that we can use, yeah. And sometimes they write especially for cello really high. For 10 minutes, 5 minutes, okay. But you never have this ground sound, which is actually, of course, the most beautiful, probably, place of the cello, right? Yeah. I don't know why. And even higher and higher. I have even no notes anymore, whatever. I know my fingers are too thick, probably, for that. But whatever, you learn that. But I think just to use those ranges that the instrument could give you, you know, or offer.
And I can tell you that it is immediately clear that the composer has something from a lexicon that is theoretically possible, but practically not a good idea, really not a good idea. And I know that he never tried it out. So learn every instrument, like Mozart, he played every instrument. Like Bach, they knew what they wrote. They were really masters they had the tools. That is what you should learn here. And I think we all should play all the time new music, every day. Learn something new, keep your brain fresh. And then you will also discover the freshness of known music. When you play again the piece which you have on 20 CDs and your professor knows exactly how to play it, you have no chance to discover your own vision of this piece. But when you keep going with new music, you will have your territory, your laboratory. Bring this early music into your laboratory. Make your new experiments. It's not a sin, it's not wrong to find your story, also to bring it in our time.
Also, probably that new compositions offer the opportunity then to come back to the older repertoire that we parallel, of course, play, and see it from another point of view, which you didn't have before if you never experienced something different on your own instrument. No.
When you look at something that is always the same, you don't recognize the beauty of it. When you have some comparison, when you look out, when you refresh your sight, you start to see again the beauty. It's like in love, in your partner. You need to refresh the perception.
I had a question about this contemporary music and the music industry. Did you find any resistance to bring it to some concert halls or some orchestra that said, no, our public will not like this, or no?
No, not anymore. In the beginning,
yes, when you are young.
In my case, I had to play Glazunov, I had to play all the repertory that I had to play, just to prove that I'm able to play. But very soon, I had a method. After a normal concerto, where people already thought, hey, what is she doing? I played always an encore, a new music. I had many friends, composers, and they wrote for me. And I played a new composition, very short. And the people thought, not so bad. I mean, not so... we understood it, it was funny, it was music. And then I said, yes, of course. And this composer could also write a violin concerto. And somehow the fruits of this work, I enjoy them now. I really play, if I want, I could play only contemporary music, written for myself. And that was my goal, actually. But I don't want. I want to play all the range. Yesterday we played what we wanted. There is not so much repertory for cello and violin. But we found something. We asked composers to write for ourselves. And now we say what we want to play. Because the argument that they don't sell the hall, they don't sell enough tickets to pay us if we don't play something normal, is not working anymore. Then I said, then ask a young musician or somebody who likes to play now Dvorak violin concerto. I'm not the best for it, and I'm not interested in it. I can only play something that is my how to say, something that comes out of my soul, what is necessary for me to play now. It can be Schumann concerto. It can be Tchaikovsky concerto, but in a way that I see it. And there are many people who hate it. I heard many stories of people who just stop to drive because they get sick of my playing. It's okay. Keep driving. Don't listen to me. But I'm old enough to resist the criticism. Yeah.
I'd like to know your take on the open debate of the relationship between the music itself and the public, but like general public, no, not the one who knows that music, but the general public perspective. Because it's obvious that there's a distance between the music and a very big part of the public. And I would like to know, what do you think about it? Because, of course, there's ways to bring the music closer to this public, but when there's not this sense of beauty priority in the music, it's also very difficult, even for me, who I'm a musician, but sometimes I just don't get it. And I'm going to choose maybe not to go to that concert. Mm-hmm. And also from the perspective that already from like ancient Greece times, this like search for beauty is part of the intuitive human system, mm-hmm. let's say. This development of not going through there, which is also a big part of nowadays music, how do you bring it to this public that intuitively is not going to get it? I don't get it sometimes. So but how do we do?
Are you looking only for beauty in art?
No, but there's a huge part of this art product, let's say, that is easy to understand for the general public, that is the main part of who we are playing for. And of course, I'm not only looking for that, but somehow is what we do as well.
But if you see really good paintings, I don't know, what is really interesting to you? El Greco or Goya, the dark paintings, or I don't know. There are really kind of secrets that you walk in a gallery, and there is a beautiful picture here, beautiful picture here. You understand everything. You're enjoying it, and then you see something that you don't understand, but it attracts you. You go there. You stand in front of a picture, you don't understand it, but something touches you. You don't know what. You cannot explain it, but you remember the feeling of it. 5 years later, you come again, you see again this picture, and it tells you something. And it's about, I think, something that we cannot express with words, but we need to approach it. We need to see this. And art, music, especially music, is even more abstract than a painting, because a painting is reduced to a frame, and you have enough time. As much as you have the time, you can stand in front of it and see it again and again. Music doesn't give you this time. You have to be very quick. If you listen music of Kurtak, you have to be super quick, because sometimes it happens in 2 minutes. And I cannot say that I understand everything. Most of things also I don't understand. But there is something that speaks to me there. And I want to go again and again into this. I don't know what it is. It's energy. It's something that keeps me curious, open. But something that I understand, I know, I heard it many times, and I hear it again in the same way, because I have to understand it, because there is a mass which wants to eat the schnitzel again and again, because all these people, most of them old, but also young people, don't want to come out of the comfort zone. They want to hear the Dvorak cello concerto, they want to hear the Beethoven symphony every time. We have to break this box. We have to give them a new food, even if we don't understand it. It's not our duty to. Nobody understood late Beethoven. People say it in Bizet, Carmen, that there are no melodies. The critics say that the Tchaikovsky violin concerto smells of vodka, and it sounds like cats. Nobody liked it. Beethoven Kreutzer Sonata was grotesque, aesthetical, artistical terrorism, and that he wants too much originality. There are so many examples for not understanding really good art, but it changes by time, and we need to put it on stage and give it a chance to grow, because these are all babies which they didn't grow. We don't know enough Claude Vivier. We don't know enough Crumb, Stockhausen, Xenakis. We didn't hear enough. Did you all play enough contemporary music to say that you really invested enough time and interest in that? Not really. Yeah. We need to do something for it, and the audience will take it, because we underestimate the audience. They're hungry for something new. We made a quite unconventional program yesterday with Sol, and we were not really worried, because we knew we will tell it in a way that the public will eat it, and it will be a beautiful menu of unknown, also not really easy to hear pieces, but we will give them also a Ravel and a Coday, so it's a kind of a trick to make it in a way that the audience still have the comfort zone, but goes a little out of it, and then back again, and then next time a little more. You see, it's okay. It's not so bad actually. I like it. Okay, next time I take my neighbor, I take my cousin. Let's go and listen Xenakis. Yeah, Let's see what it is. It's kind of game, and we need to go this way.
And we have very different type of public also. We have public who come with expectations. So they expect something. Is it not coming? I didn't like it. It was not enough loud. It was not enough, vibrated, or it was not enough nice. And you have people who are coming for curiosity. Yeah, they want to see what happened. Of course, not the majority. You're right. But this is the fact. It should be like a virus. So the curiosity people should become a virus to the rest, because at the end we're all human. We are breathing all the same air. So you become this virus if you speak with the people. It's exactly this. But of course we need to be careful that the balance is there. And if we as an artist, as an interpreter, we are not risking this, this will never arrive to the public. So this is one of the reasons why we should do it. And I think you say something very right. From my point of view, it's right that we spend so many hours practicing Dvorak, Schumann, cello concerto in my case, others, years and years, 20 years, and we play again and again and again. Imagine that one of that modern pieces, of course you invest a lot of hours, I know, but sometimes only for 1 month, right? And then maybe you don't play it anymore. Yeah. But if we take these 20 years again and we focus on pieces on that level of studies, probably that piece becomes yours, like your foot. Yeah. And then you are convincing the people differently, because this I am really convinced, if you really like what are you playing, and if you really, even if you don't like, but you know why you are playing that piece, you have a message to give to your public, I am convinced that the people are receiving this. The problem is exactly what you say, is if you are just reading the music and you arrive like this to the concert, well, maybe you are still alive after the concert. This is already not bad, because sometimes I was very ill after new pieces, because it was really hard to learn, and I was not sleeping anymore, and well, then you say, oh, never again I will play that piece. But then you take that piece maybe again, 6 months later, say, how I will learn this piece again? It goes much faster, the learning process. Mm. The first time it's like opening the scores, like, I never played that piece. We were speaking yesterday about that. I hear my own concerto, new piece. I have not the impression this was me, not my hands. I don't know who was playing. But then the process is going faster and faster, and the second day, you're already 10 steps over, right? So I think we don't invest enough time for the modern compositions, because of course, all of us, we need to make the competitions, and we need to prepare those 4 steps, to arrive to the final. And of course, there is maybe one modern piece or 2, but then we learn this perfectly, and that's all. We are not curious enough. That's the point, I think. And of course, curiosity needs time. And I think this is the point why you say this is so important, that time here, because you have the time for that right now. And later will be, for sure, less time. I think I was very lucky that Monigetti says this to me when I was 12 years old. You have the time now to play all the repertoire you can learn, because later you will not have the energy, not the time for it, and other problems in life. Yeah.
I had the one experience once with my dad. He's like one of these people that hate contemporary music. And I remember, but not only like contemporary music, but like all music since the Romantic period. He was saying like Isa is bullshit. And at the time I didn't think much about what I said, but I made now looking back, a very interesting analogy, comparing music to philosophy. And sometimes you read a philosopher for the first time and you somehow don't fully get the idea. And I think that not all music is meant to be understood the first time you listen.
Yes. And it is not meant to be liked. It's not Facebook, not Instagram. We are not meant to go on stage to be liked. I needed 40 years to understand it. Because when I got the criticism of the orchestra, behind me 200 people who looked at me like a crazy ape from nowhere, doing things that nobody heard before, I was really hurt. But now I understand. I am there, you are there. Composers are writing pieces not to be liked, but to say something that is important to you. and do it in the best way you can do. You are responsible for these 20 minutes of your life and of the life of your listeners. So make a sense out of it. And that's it. If they don't like it, it's okay. But it's a piece of art that you presented to them, and therefore they came and they paid for it. And you should be also paid for it. Don't forget it. Actually, I like when I don't understand something. It's much more interesting.
It makes you think.
Why should I understand everything? We are artists. We should be really... That should attract us. Something that I don't understand. Wow, great. I go there.
And then you start asking the same questions in everything else.
Of course.
Yes, yes.
Of course. And you don't need an answer, not immediate answer. Complex things are complex. Let them be complex.
But even with not contemporary music, you sometimes play a piece and you think you understand it, and then you come back years later and you think like, what was I doing? Like this makes no sense. This is not the idea. You change opinion on things you're playing, so that means that there is really not an answer to what's the interpretation to this piece, or what's the...
Or not only one answer, many answers.
Yeah, because music it's not a sport or a competition, you know, there's not...
There is also no better or worse. There are different opinions, different levels of possibilities. It's okay if someone is not able to play it faster, but if you make sense of a slower tempo, it's better than to play fast without sense, right?